there are very few people who actually influence positively. He studied at NYU Stern. He turned down an offer from I.I.M. Bangalore to study an MBA out there. And he left lucrative career options in Wall Street. And he came to India saying, I want to do something different and I want to create impact positively. Very few people use social media in this manner, and therefore from the long list of role models that I.I.M.U.N has hosted over 13, 14 years, there are very few people from his walk of life. It gives me great pleasure and privilege to be able to welcome somebody who's a real life influencer, who's using his social media fame to challenge companies like Bournvita. And currently, he's changed the notion and the concept of Bournvita completely for everyone, including our government. It gives me great pleasure and privilege to be able to welcome Revant, aka Food Pharmer. Revant, Karela or pizza?
So, I also like pizza more than Karela. The reputation I have is that I only eat nothing junk or something like that. It's not true. I also, like anyone else, like all of you, I also like taste, of course, and I would rather choose a pizza or a burger. The only difference is when I'm consuming so-called healthy things, I know when they are junk or not. Like when I'm consuming a biscuit, I know that the biscuit is essentially a chocolate. So I just understand my junk better than most, is the only difference.
But you eat like pizza?
Yeah, of course.
And pizza is okay?
Pizza is okay once in a while, not regularly. Pizza is okay if you have it like maybe once in 2 weeks or something like that, but not regularly.
You know, I'm pulling your leg and I'm just trying to start the conversation on a lighter note. But Revant, growing up, I too have had a lot of junk food.
Yeah.
Now, were you part of that crowd that had a lot of junk food, or did you have a different approach towards food right from the time that you were a child?
No, so growing up, like every other child, I too ate a lot of junk food. In fact, till probably when I was 25, 26, for like first 25 years of my life, I had a lot of junk food, and I never even thought if I'm having a soft drink or if someone suppose hypothetically made a video, that time social media wasn't as big of a thing, but made a video saying, "Arey, isme itna sugar hai," I would be like, "Yeah, who cares?" Like what I do now, if someone had done that, I would be like, "Oh, how? So what?" So I used to consume a lot of junk, and I was never at that age, if someone told me that 10 years later or 15 years later you'll be sitting on a stage talking about why you should not eat junk, I would be like, I would not be that guy. But it changed a lot much later. I saw that, I saw the impact, even the health conscious people, there are two types of people, one who are health conscious, one who are not health conscious. I saw even health conscious people drinking things, I'm openly taking some names, sorry, it's like how it works with me. Like things like Gatorade, thinking like, oh, this is a sports drink. So they would play something and they were like, okay, let's have Gatorade. So this is a health conscious person doing it. And I saw all these young kids, of course, having like Bournvita and all of those other drinks in the same category, Horlicks and things like that. And parents forcing people, acha nahi itna peena hi hoga ye, it's like that. So that is what bothered me, and I'll say this one thing. Sorry, I'm going overboard. So who here likes to have Coke, Pepsi, like the entire soft drinks? And how many times do you typically have Coke in a week?
He's talking about Coca-Cola.
Yeah. I should clarify that, I guess. I guess I'm in Mumbai, so I need to clarify that. In Calcutta, I think Coke means Coca-Cola. Yeah, so how many times do you typically have Coca-Cola in a week? 1 time, 2 times? I don't know, like someone was saying a higher number as well, but typically we have Coke, what I've seen in schools or in other places, we typically have Coca-Cola 1 to 2 times in a week, maybe on the weekends. But a drink like Bournvita, we often have it twice a day. So in a week span, you're having 14 glasses of Bournvita, Horlicks or whatever brand you choose, but you're having Coke 2 times a week or 3 times or 4 times if you max. So if you look at any headline of obesity, diabetes, you'll always see the picture of a Coke. The problem is not with the Coke, the bigger problem is the Bournvita. And that is what bothered me, and which is why I've gotten into this entire space.
Fantastic. Thankfully, Bournvita nor Gatorade sponsor us, so there's no problem.
Okay.
But thank you for doing what you do. It's really cool what you do. But the concept of doing something like this, that idea, of course, you elucidated and you said that you wanted a more healthier country. You want people to understand what they're consuming. But utilizing social media as an avenue in order to channelize that, where did that thought come from?
So currently it's kind of funny, many people call me an influencer. But that is just the medium I'm using. I'm using social media as a medium, so people are calling me influencer. But it did not start off like that. 10 years ago, I wrote a book called Selfie in omics. It was published about 8-9 years ago as well. And in that book itself, I had a full chapter on nutrition labels and like why we should read nutrition labels. आप कुछ भी खाना खरीदते हो उसके पहले आप टर्न अराउंड करिए पैकेज और उसमें देखिए कि उसके पीछे में क्या लिखा है. What are the ingredients and what is inside your package? I wrote about that 10 years ago also. So I was that time called an author. My message has remained the same in the last 10 years. My message is still the same. 10 years ago also I was asking people to read the label. Even today I'm asking people to read the label. The only difference is the medium has changed from book to social media. And the reason why I changed is because most of us, including me, we spend 3, 4, 5 hours on our phones every day. Maybe even more, 6 hours, 7 hours. But we barely read books, unfortunately, anymore. So if you want to cater to a much wider audience, I think you need to go where the audience is. And that's why I pivoted to social media.
And social media has transformed your journey in a way. You have catapulted not just in terms of fame and popularity, but in terms of impact. And you've been able to create impact and bring about policy change, which is rare. For government to change policy, with young people from I.I.M.U.N having gone into government, when we yet tell them saying, let's do ABC, it becomes difficult. You yet single-handedly manage to change policy and get Bournvita shifted from a particular category to a B particular category. But let me ask you this, for the few friends who run food companies also, and for all of them also, how do you target or select these people? Is there a methodology of selecting these brands, saying, okay, there is something wrong with Bournvita, or how do you go about it?
Yeah. So basically, and I'll try to speak to the people in the back and on the top as well. So I'll give you a quick 30-second background of me in case you don't know me. Is one, I make a lot of videos on Instagram and YouTube on food, and I raise awareness of what is good for you, what is not good for you, what is healthy, what is not healthy. So that is what I do often. And the way I select my products and all of that is whatever we consume a lot of, and I usually focus on junk food pretending to be healthy. Not as much on junk food, but more on junk food pretending to be healthy. For example, most of us here like chocolates. Even I love chocolates. But I don't make too many videos on chocolates. I focus a lot more on biscuits. Because of marketing, most of us believe biscuits are sort of healthy, chocolates are junk. And as a result, the same like the Coca-Cola and Bournvita example that we were using earlier, the same example with biscuits and chocolate. Chocolates, typically we'll have 2 or 3 times in a week. But biscuits, सुबह इंडिया में उठते ही लोग चाय के साथ 2 बिस्किट खाते हैं, 3 बिस्किट, 4 बिस्किट, शाम को वापस 3-4 बिस्किट. बिस्किट में क्या होता है? मैदा, चीनी, पाम ऑयल. So बिस्किट भी चॉकलेट ही है, बस मार्केटिंग अलग है. The difference is the biscuit is marketing itself as healthy, so we are so brainwashed, all of us, that we don't find any guilt in having a biscuit, but chocolate bolenge nahi. So in my own house, like when I was growing up, when I was all of your age, in my school tiffin, my mother used to give me, along with 2-3 other things, she used to give me bourbon biscuit. वो sponsor नहीं है ना? नहीं चलो.
कोई sponsor नहीं है.
हाँ जब ठीक है.
The best part about I.I.M.U.N. there's no sponsor.
That's very good. चलो तो they used to give me bourbon biscuit. My mother used to give me bourbon biscuit in my school tiffin. एंड अगर मैं मॉम को बोलता कि मेरे को बॉर्बन बिस्किट नहीं किटकैट खाना है टिफिन में, मम्मी बोलती नहीं किटकैट में ना स्कूल के टिफिन में मिलेगा. हर दिन मैं 2 बॉर्बन बिस्किट खाया हूँ 10 साल के लिए. और आज आपको एक शॉकिंग बात बोलूंगा, बॉर्बन बिस्किट में किटकैट से ज्यादा चीनी होता है पर ग्राम बेसिस पे. खाली मार्केटिंग है कि एक चीज हम बिस्किट के कैटेगरी में सोचते हैं, दूसरे चीज को हम चॉकलेट के कैटेगरी में. इनफैक्ट ब्रिटिश के टाइम पे वो बिस्किट चालू होता, पॉपुलराइज हुआ था इंडिया में. यूएस में इसको कुकी बुलाते हैं. कुकी हमें अनहेल्दी लगता है सुनने में, बिस्किट हेल्दी लगता है. तो वो खाली मार्केटिंग है. तो मैं वही प्रोडक्ट्स को चुनता हूँ जो ज़्यादातर थोड़ा हेल्दियर मार्केट करते हैं अपने आप को. सो मैं मैगी से ज़्यादा मैगी आटा नूडल्स के ऊपर वीडियो बनाऊंगा. रादर देन अ चॉकलेट आई मेक मोर वीडियोज ऑन द बिस्किट्स, ऑन द एनीथिंग व्हिच पीपल कंसिडर बी हेल्दी.
Fantastic. So instead of Bourbon biscuit, you should have Kit Kat. So I'm just the thing that I'm most impressed also is that you've managed to, like I said, आपने जो कर दिखाया है वो बड़ी लॉ फर्म्स नहीं कर सकती. You have managed to convince government, but do you see government taking a conscientious stance? आपके पहले भी. It's not that government did not know that. I mean, I would like to believe that we have educated people across party lines. From 47 till now, why is this change coming about only now? And do you think even now, are they serious enough in order to bring about change when it comes to children's nutrition?
It's slightly reactive. In the last 3-4 months, I have seen a lot of positive change. The last 3-4 months में, for example, अभी रिसेंटली हुआ था जो आपने बोला भी कि बॉर्नवीटा को अब हेल्थ ड्रिंक के नाम से अब नहीं बुला सकते हैं वो अपने आप को. अब वो एक रेगुलर बेवरेज की तरह उन लोगों को बुलाना पड़ेगा. तो अब कुछ लास्ट 3-4 मंथ्स में उन्होंने कुछ एक्शंस लिए हैं. बट बाय एंड लार्ज यस देयर इज अ लॉट मोर वी कैन डू. एंड इफ यू लुक एट इट, इवन टाइम्स ऑफ टुडे द इलेक्शंस आर गोइंग ऑन. None of the major 3-4 parties, I'm not taking any one party's name, none of the 3-4 major parties has anyone spoken about health. Or what are they doing about cleaning our food? And bulk of our food जो हम ज़्यादातर खाते हैं वो आजकल पैकेज फूड है. कोई भी किसी का भी वो मैनिफेस्टो, कोई भी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी में मैनिफेस्टो में लिखा है क्या कि पैकेज फूड को क्लीन करते हैं, थोड़ा हेल्दियर बनाते हैं इंडिया में. जैसे मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ कि जैसे हम स्कूल में हिस्ट्री ज्योग्राफी पढ़ते हैं, हमें स्कूल में न्यूट्रिशन और फूड भी पढ़ना चाहिए. बट ऐसा तो कोई भी गवर्नमेंट नहीं बोल रहा. तो आई डोंट थिंक दे आर टेकिंग इट एज सीरियसली एज दे शुड. बट सम पॉजिटिव स्टेप्स हैव हैपेंड रिसेंटली.
You know, you touched upon a very important point. You said हम लोगों को स्कूल में भी न्यूट्रिशन के बारे में पढ़ना चाहिए. How many of you would like to study about nutrition in school? How many of you would like to study about nutrition instead of history in school?
Basically, how many of you would not like to study anything? How many would not like to study history? Okay.
पर यही बात है ना कि कैसे हम लोग इंट्रोड्यूस करें स्कूल करिकुलम में. अभी NEP जब पॉलिसी आई, 68 में द पॉलिसी केम, 86 द सेम पॉलिसी केम, 2020 द सेम पॉलिसीज कम. The changes, because education is a concurrent subject, as you would be well aware. Anything that the center wants to do, the state stops. The state wants to do, the center stops. It is very difficult to make radical changes in education. There are a lot of people who are out here who are principals, owners of schools. What would you tell them? Suppose nutrition पढ़ाना है स्कूल में, and it's not a part of curriculum. तो कैसे पढ़ाना चाहिए?
So I know कि जितना मैं टीचर लोग से बात किया हूँ, काफ़ी मुश्किल है क्योंकि आप जब भी कुछ पढ़ा रहे हो तो आपको कुछ रिप्लेस करना होता है. ये नहीं है कि आप बस ऐड कर सकते हो, आपको कोई एक कोर्स को हटाना पड़ेगा. तो वो ट्रिकी पार्ट रहता है. बट कोई एक वे अगर आप स्कूल में लाइक एवरी सपोज वीक में 2 पीरियड आप अगर अलॉट कर सको कि जिसमें आप वीडियोस दिखा पाओ मैं खुद खाली अपने वीडियो का नहीं बात कर रहा, आप कोई भी मतलब there are many knowledgeable people on the internet, so you can try to show those videos. So it's not a full-on syllabus, it's not a part of the syllabus, but जैसे स्कूल में असेंबली होता है और वो सब होता है, तो साथ साथ में अगर आप हर दिन एक 10 मिनट का एक क्लिप दिखा दो कोई, तो वैसा करके अगर आपको इंट्रोड्यूस कर पाओ कि you're showing okay what is a calorie, प्रोटीन क्या होता है, कैसे मतलब प्रोटीन क्या चीज़ में मिला हुआ है, और वो आपको लिटरली आप YouTube पे भी जाओगे 10 मिनट का वीडियो मिल जाएगा, और वो 10 मिनट का वीडियो आप प्ले कर सकते हो, हफ्ते में एक बार 10 मिनट के लिए दिखाते रहो, तो आप एक साल में तो 30-40 वीडियो दिखा देते हो, इट विल बी वे मोर impactful. So if you cannot formally introduce it, it is very difficult to do because you need a full teacher, you need a full syllabus change, books. Just try to show a 10-minute video if you can.
Show a 10-minute video if you can. And that is a great idea perhaps to start with. But that means you are adding a subject, he's not removing history. Do you yet want to study nutrition? Yes, no? Yeah, now 3 yeses came from this side. Yes, no? Okay, fair.
Well, one guy out there is strongly shaking his head no.
But tell me one thing, you've become a role model of sorts for so many people who want to bring about change. Who was your role model growing up, and how did you select that person as your role model?
So I personally do not believe in having any one role model because I feel that results in bias. अगर आप कोई भी like you know, if you make anyone a full-on role model, only one person, you start off with that, but you eventually become a fan. And the moment you become a fan, you kind of become a fanatic as well. कि जो भी वो बोल रहा है, आप वो blindly follow करते हो. तो मैं कोई भी आप लोग सब लोग is my personal opinion. Whether it's a YouTuber, whether it's an actor or a cricketer or a political party, someone, don't blindly follow anyone. Follow whoever. There are enough people who are going to add a lot of value to you. You can learn a lot from various people. But do not blindly follow anyone. For example, on my social media, I have one line which I keep using called positive aggression. That is indirectly inspired by Virat Kohli. Because he, if you see in cricket, he'll be very aggressive, and like I remember he was once in Australia, he was playing and there were 5 people who surrounded him and they were like sort of sledging Virat Kohli, like Mitchell Johnson and all these people, and he was replying back to them. And in my view, I take inspiration that all these brands are surrounding me and they are sledging me sort of, and they are putting on legal cases and I'm fighting back. So I am like taking inspiration from Kohli in that sense, but I will not blindly follow him. Like for example, I do not support him advertising Boost. So there are a lot of people I take inspiration from who are like my role models in certain spheres. Like I like how Shah Rukh Khan is witty in his answers. Like if he was out here, he would probably be giving funny answers. So I like that. I would like to incorporate that. I don't like every single thing he does. So there are many role models like that. Like for example, some other people who I like. In addition to the people who I mentioned. Like there's an author you may have known, Yuval Noah Harari. I like the big picture thinking. And like that, there are certain aspects from various people that I like and I would try to imbibe.
Fantastic. Pick up the best from everyone. There is some good in everybody.
Yeah.
And there is one more role model that I particularly like. I love his music and love the compositions that he makes. He's with us today and he's going to speak a little while later. 3-time winner of the Grammys, Ricky Ketch. Ladies and gentlemen. But Revant, what you mentioned about picking up, हर कोई में से कुछ ना कुछ सीखना है. That is easy to say, difficult to implement. मैं audience की ओर से पूछ रहा हूँ कि, and even from my perspective, that when you are, whether you are 14 or whether you are 30 or whether you are 50 or you are 70, it's well and good to say that you should pick up all positive stuff from people, but like you said, positive aggression. Where does a 14-year-old draw the line between Virat Kohli endorsing Boost and the positive aggression? Because for the 14-year-old, for the unaware, whether he's endorsing something or whether he is positively aggressive, I mean, it's something to yet learn from. So how does one draw the line in terms of, अच्छा, इनसे इतना ही सीखना है, बस.
टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट मैं अभी बोल तो दूंगा कुछ लेकिन वो एक्चुअली करना उतना आसान नहीं है. मतलब मैं भी जब 14 था, इनफैक्ट आज भी उतना easy नहीं है. मतलब मैं when you start seeing someone, you start automatically trying to get everything, even though you want to get only the best. It's very natural. Just off the top of my head, if I were to say कि suppose you like Virat Kohli, try to make a list of why you like Virat Kohli. So you will come कि there will be 5 to 10 things that you will like write down. Like for example, a lot of people like Virat Kohli because he is fit. He's very like athletic and all of that. Some people like him because he's very passionate. He says whatever is on his mind. So try to write those 5-6 qualities and try to imbibe those qualities which you like him for. Now, if there are, everyone has some negative qualities as well, regardless of how good that person is, whether it's Rahul Dravid or whoever it may be, they may be the best person. Everyone has negatives. So try to see like, if you can make a pro and con list and try to take one side of it, not everything. But I don't have like a rule book for this or like a playbook. It's not very easy, to be very honest.
And the honest answers are the most appreciated. And what you did mention about the fact that try to take out the good from people, that is what one must do. You also mentioned another gentleman, Rahul Dravid, who I greatly admire. So whether you support Virat Kohli, whether you support Mumbai Indians, anyone? We yet there. Mumbai Indians, whether you support Rohit Sharma, whether you like Rahul Dravid, I think what Revant's trying to say is that one should try to pick up the good from everybody and try to imbibe that in yourself. But Revant, you've written a book, Selfie-nomics. And in Selfie-nomics, you use a very different approach. हैशटैग्स अभी ट्रेंड करने लगे. आपने जब पुस्तक लिखी तभी आप हैशटैग्स के बारे में लिख रहे थे. यू वर राइटिंग अबाउट हाउ पॉप कल्चर कैन बी यूज्ड इन अ वे इन ऑर्डर टू ब्रिंग अबाउट चेंज.
Yeah.
What got you to write that? How does, and I want to ask it from the perspective of students, how does one stay ahead of the curve?
So I'll first answer the book question. So around exactly 10 years ago, I had a lot of thoughts which I wanted to share to the world. It was just कि I did not know how to share it. So I don't know how to make a movie. Movie में budget लगता है, actors लगते हैं, मतलब बहुत लाखों रुपया probably लगता है, learning चाहिए, वो सब मेरे को है नहीं मेरे पास. So the fastest way for me to share my thoughts was a book, because that was something which does not require money, does not require full-on training technically. Like you can just put your thoughts. But the problem was that most of what I was consuming, I was not a reader. While I was trying to write a book, I was not a reader. So what I was consuming was social media. So I was spending most of my time, and at that time Facebook was more popular than Instagram and YouTube. So Facebook was what I was using more of. So my style of what I was consuming was hashtags and memes and things like that. And I also knew that most of the people around me also, the entire world is now moved to that. Even 8, 9, 10 years ago, most of the people were enjoying that aspect way more than books. So books, yeah, it was usually very preachy. Like, if you look at self-help books, they usually say, acha, money is not important and you should wake up at 5 a.m. and you should, they'll say things which are not relatable, which no one wants to hear. Like, we already know all of that. And so I did not want to give gyan. So that's why I tried to incorporate social messages with some humor. Sort of to some extent what I'm trying to do right now with my social media as well. Ki I'm talking about serious issues, but once in a while I'll try to insert a joke in it. So similarly, exactly, I was talking about religion in my book, and I was taking a very, very controversial stance in my book. But I was adding some humor in it. And the same thing I did even like a year ago when I had received like some legal notices. One company had asked me to apologize publicly. And I did apologize publicly. But instead of apologizing, I played some Bollywood song which was like a funny song. It said, "Mujhe maaf karna, Om Sai Ram," or something like, it was a very famous song. So it was almost like I was technically, legally I was apologizing, but it was almost like a spoof. So It was like
एंड उसके बाद दूसरी लीगल नोटिस में
वो कंपनी से नहीं बड़ा और कंपनी से.
anyways, well, you were doing a remarkable job, like I keep saying, but let me ask you the last set of questions. It's a small rapid fire. I'm inspired by a friend and mentor who you've seen on TV. We've done this before. Are you awake? Yes. Thank you. Great. So, what is the first, but hamper nahi hai hamare paas, sorry. Budget nahi hai, kya sponsors we've not taken. But let me ask you, what's the first word that comes to your mind when I say the following words? When I say sugar board, what's the first word that comes to your mind?
Children and schools. Can I say one line or one word?
One word or one line, but one word. Sorry.
Yeah, like children. Like most nutritionists are focusing on adults. Sugar board is for children. Children.
Done. I asked the question like a journalist. He answered it like a politician. But when I say food farmer, what's the first thought that comes to your mind?
Impact.
Mumbai.
Vada pav. People told me. I will explain that. So I moved to Mumbai exactly 10 days ago. And you know, I always make videos on food and I often criticize some of the food. They are like, Mumbai आना है तो आओ, वड़ा पाव के ऊपर वीडियो नहीं बनाना. बस जो करना है करो, वड़ा पाव के ऊपर वीडियो मत बनाओ. So that was anyway, yeah.
When I say youth, what's the first thought that comes?
Future.
When I say India,
present and future. But I mean, I feel India is at 13 years of my life in the US. So my entire adult life I've been in the US. I just moved back very recently to India. So I feel like having lived abroad for a long time, I feel like India definitely is both the present as well as the future, in the sense that I used to see jobs also while I was there, used to get transferred to India. And especially now with Zoom and things like that after COVID, जो यहाँ पर बैठा हुआ है वो सेम जॉब यूएस वाला जॉब यहाँ कर सकता है at 1/3 the salary. The only reason why almost all the jobs are not coming here is because they're legally trying to prevent that from happening, ताकि वहाँ unemployment ज़्यादा नहीं फैले. But technically यहाँ पर वो सेम काम हम कर सकते हैं तो वहाँ हो रहा है, और इनफैक्ट वहाँ पर 5-7 गुना प्राइस में हो रहा है. So anyway, I feel like we definitely have the potential in every way, and I think in the US often people are slightly more entitled. Out here I think we are slightly more grounded. At least the current generation is. So I don't know about the future generation, how they will be once they get the privilege.
What about the previous generation? Be careful, they're teachers.
No, I think, I mean, we are getting more and more entitled.
Okay.
So they were even less entitled, I feel like, our parents, and we are getting a bit more entitled. Gen Z is even more entitled, and the generation after that is going to get. Because the more and more privileged you get, the more resources you get while you're growing up, the more you take it for granted.
Now all your videos we played in school. Because you said that the generation before this was less entitled, then all the teachers are very happy. But at least the 2-3 were in the line of sight. But let me ask you the last thing. When I say the word I.I.M.U.N, what's the thought that comes to your mind?
Magnificent, like, just incredible what.
Your hamper depends on this.
Yeah.